Welcome everybody to Sound Off Sports, the show where you can have your voice heard here in Southern Nevada. Coming up on today's show, we got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about Chennedy Carter, Caitlin Clark, plus Justin Jefferson getting a huge contract. Plus we got some special guests coming into our studio. It's a great show. You don't want to miss it. Sound Off Sports starts right now.
Make some noise. This is Sound Off Sports.
What's up? Welcome to SOS Sound Off Sports. I'm your host, Mike Davis, joined by my main man, producer James Edward Berkman, the Fourth James. We are going to start off with the story everybody is talking about on planet Earth. Yes, it's Chennedy Carter putting a cheap shot on the WNBA's new prized possession, Caitlin Clark. James, we got some voicemails. Let's hear what people had to say first when it comes to voicemails.
I definitely believe that Chennedy Carter should be fined and at the very least suspended.
All right, so yeah, we asked everybody, should Chennedy Carter be fined for that cheap shot she laid out on Caitlin Clark? Obviously right there. I think a fine would be an adequate or appropriate response to this. Suspension, I'm not sure, but I think a fine certainly. What about you, James?
I think it's probably too late for that now. They upgraded it to a flagrant one, and that's really all this is going to be. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. All right, let's hear another response we got via voicemail.
I really do believe that there is no grace given to anyone but Caitlin Clark for what's happening in the WNBA right now. She's not the only player in the WNBA, but according to what we hear on TV, she's the only one that's already being reported on, and that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry that this young lady is having to pay for all of her success as a college student. No one else has had to pay for it, and that's for sure. Unfortunately, they're throwing it onto African-American players, which I don't think is right. And everybody, those of us that watch real sports, we're not happy with the way that things are happening. However, let's not make it a racial thing. The end.
All right, so yeah, there's a lot going on with this, all this stuff going on when it comes to Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. I mean, here we go. Are there resentment issues at hand? 100%. Are there some racial elements and issues at hand? Yes, certainly. There's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to Caitlin Clark. The crazy thing is, because it's happening to Caitlin Clark, that's the reason why the media is biting on it. The people at home want to call in and talk about it. I mean, listen, Angel Reese, James, you told me in the back office, you're like, make sure you check out what's been going on with her, the other rookie with the Chicago Sky, and see the punishment she's getting. Not a lot of people are reporting on that. So yes, Caitlin Clark has been a catalyst for interest when it comes to the WNBA. And I think regardless of all the talk, whether you're upset because of the way she's being resented, whether you feel there's tons of racial elements at hand, whatever side you're on for this issue, it frankly doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all good for the WNBA. I've never seen, leading up to the NBA Finals, more talk about the WNBA rather than the NBA Finals. Nobody's even talking about the Boston Celtics or the Dallas Mavericks. So this is all great stuff. I feel that a lot of the harbored resentment from veteran players and other rookies in this class towards Caitlin Clark is the fact that, listen, most of these players, Caitlin Clark's making $75,000 this year. The impact she's had on the league has been tremendous. The Indiana Fever have sold out. They've already garnered more of an attendance in their first 5 games than they did in the entire season last season. So the impact, the effect that she's had on the league is tremendous, and people are resentful that she's getting the coverage she's getting, and they're resentful at the money factor at this. She's got a $28 million shoe deal that a lot of other people should have probably had a long time before. I mean, we now know, Asia Wilson's got a shoe deal, and other people are getting the attention they deserve. So that, yes, there's racial issues at hand. Yes, there's resentment issues at hand. There's a lot of stuff going on. But the fact is, people are talking about the WNBA. James, what do you have to say?
No, I think a lot of this, like you mentioned, harbored resentment. It's not because she's white. It's not because she's straight. It's because she's the biggest star this game's ever seen. And these girls that have been playing in the league for a while, they're jealous. I would be too. Like, it's a natural reaction to feel that way about somebody, Caitlin Clark, who's just arriving to the league and is bringing all this attention. So I think that's really where this is all stemming from. And these girls are competitors, right? This isn't like a novel concept where Caitlin Clark's the only rookie ever that's been taking cheap shots. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'll use this as an example.
Yes.
Sidney Crosby, when he came into the league at 18, was the victim of a lot of dirty hits, cheap shots. What did the Penguins do? They went and signed an enforcer, Georges Laraque, to go and protect their young star as well as Evgeny Malkin. This isn't the NHL, right? This is WNBA. But she's not the only WNBA player that's been dealing with this either.
100%.
Angel Reese.
And like you're saying, I think what you're getting at is, and a lot of people have been stating this, why aren't her teammates standing up for her and coming to her defense in those moments? And listen, I think we got to stop with looking at this, why is it a woman kind of thing? I think let's just talk about this from an athlete standpoint. Athletes are competitive. You get in the heat of a game. It's okay to have enforcers on a team like a Chennedy Carter. Should she be fined for it? Yes. Is it a flagrant foul? 100%. But there's a lot of people in her mold and makeup across all the domains of sports. There's Draymond Greens like her. I mean, it's an adequate carved out role for a team that's looking to win. So let's just treat everybody like an athlete. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. And let's stop acting like we've never watched sports before.
Exactly.
This is not a novel thing. This is not unprecedented. This happens to rookies, specifically star rookies, all the time. These girls are competitors, fierce competitors who are going to do everything in their power to get inside that star rookie's head. This has happened across every league from the beginning of time since we've been doing this.
And last thing on this before we hear more from you guys at home, but I just think, look at it. This is a wonderful thing. Look at the aggressiveness. Look at the level of competition. Look at the level of grit that's being put out there for us to enjoy from the regular season of the WNBA. We don't get this in the NBA that much. When's the last time you're seeing that much intensity going on in the NBA during the regular season? So I'm a fan. I'm here for it. And let's hear what more people have to say.
So this is Janine Moore via Facebook. She says, no. If you do, then you should find all of the vets welcoming the rookies this season because there have been a few. I've seen a few rookies taking some solid contact. If you do it after the fact, then do it for Reese and others. Be consistent if you feel it is really an issue.
Wow, that was a very good comment. Yes, because you called my attention to some of the abuse that Angel Reese has been receiving on the receiving end of with the Chicago guys. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a fine happening, but there's been a lot of this going on throughout the league. What else we got?
David Bell on Facebook. Yes, it was intentional and there was no play. The ball hadn't even been inbounded yet. It was meant to send Clark a message, so send a money loss message to Carter.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And we got one last one. Let's hear that.
Finally, Victoria Lopez via email. My answer is absolutely. This was not a play on the basketball or an accidental bump while playing aggressively. This was an assault, a bully move, everything we strive to keep under control in our lives, at schools, in the workplace. Yet a bully like this gets a flagrant foul. Wow, shame on us. This is not hockey. It's a basketball event. This is sickening. Yes, please fine her if that's the only resolution. Jealousy does not belong here. I'm glad I don't have a daughter playing with people who have violent urges they can't control. Please don't allow this to continue. Thank you.
Who is that from?
Victoria Lopez
wow,
via email.
Victoria.
She feels strongly about this.
I love the passion. Listen, there's a lot to dive into with this entire subject. We spent a lot of time on this already. Caitlin Clark's also a trash talker.
Bingo.
She's been trash talking, which is nice. It's cool to have somebody with that level of energy. She's the rookie of the month in the first season. She's averaging more than 17 points per game, 6 assists, 5 boards. So it's nice that she's bringing such interest to the league. She's a trash talker. She's been chippy on the other side, and that's why Chennedy Carter retaliated maybe a little too strongly. But this is what basketball is. Let's treat everybody like athletes. We're here for it. It's not the end of the world. I just think there's a lot of other players who are getting the same sort of treatment, and the fact that we're just so fixated on Caitlin Clark is because she's, the golden goose of the WNBA, and she's doing what to the WNBA what Tiger did to golf. And Steve Cofield, my buddy, always mentioned that, and it's a great analogy. James, last thing, anything you want to mention before we're done with this topic?
No, just Caitlin Clark doesn't need our protection. let's stop acting like this has never happened before in sports. These women are professional athletes acting like professional athletes. So Caitlin Clark is a big girl. She was trash talking Chennedy Carter right before Chennedy Carter retaliated. And as you mentioned, probably a little bit too strongly than most people would have liked. And I bet you she would agree with that today.
Yes.
But this is all, at the end of the day, great for the WNBA and its ratings.
Last word on this. MJ, Michael Jordan, he once famously stated that he had to go into the weight room and put on weight as he was getting a lot of punishment from older vets as he was becoming highly touted in the league and working his way up to becoming the greatest of all time. Well, when he went back in the gym, the fact that he was receiving that punishment and on getting that much interest from veterans who are trying to prevent him from getting to at least elite status, that was a good thing for his career and for his brand. This is the best. I mean, Caitlin Clark should be happy about this because now let's see her get to that next level. Let's see if she can actually become a Jordan. It's the impact she can have is still limited unless she can get to that next phase and become one of the best WNBA players of all time, if not the greatest. So I like the fact that she has a hard, arduous road to get to that place. Let's not just roll out the red carpet for her and let her just dominate the league. No, veterans and athletes want to compete. That's what the sport's all about. Let her compete and let her strive to become the greatest she can be. And she's going to need a hard journey to get there.
Exactly.
And that's the best thing that the league can ask for. Okay, guys, we're done with this topic. I know we're talking Caitlin Clark all day long. Coming up after a short break, we got some great guests in our studio. We're going to transition to football for a little bit. That's coming up after the break. All right, welcome back to Sound Off Sports. I am joined now by two great people. One of these guys I've known for a long time, ever since I even moved to Las Vegas. He's one of the greatest guys in the community. It's that guy in the red shirt right there, Coach James Silvas with us. And we also got a rising quarterback, freshman for Liberty High School. It's Joe Montano. Not Joe Montana, but one day, potentially, Joe Montana. Joe, Coach James, thanks so much for being with us. Guys, we're going to be talking about this great All-American High School Combine that's happening. You're doing this in the community for such a long time, Coach. Tell us, it's the 11th annual one. You got a camp as well. How has it been for you over all these years? All the kids that have come through these camps and combines, it must be so rewarding.
It is. We started All-American Kids Camp originally 17 years ago.
Wow.
And then as it was gone, it was getting more popular and fun, and everybody loved it. And then those boys got older, and I remember a lot of them come up to me and go, Coach, we're going to high school, man. What about us? And I go, well, you guys are done. You're going to high school. And on the way home that day, I was driving home, and I go, wait a minute. These guys are just beginning. Right. I got to get a combine so I can test them to get them to have knowledge of where they're at athletically so they can start training for college.
Tell us a little bit for parents at home so they get an idea of what actually goes down at the All-American High School football combine.
Like academically, you take an SAT test to get graded to what college you can apply for or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, a combine is an athletic test. So we do 6 different tests: a cone, a shuttle, a vertical, a bench press.
Just like the NFL Combine.
Exactly.
And the people that are looking at these scores, there's a lot of coaches that are actually, is there scouting going on?
Well, we are live streaming to 7,000 coaches and staffers nationwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, so this is big stuff, and kids definitely want to show up. Joe, even though you're getting ready for your freshman year at Liberty High School, you've already participated in this once before. So to hear from you what this is like and what this means for other kids out there, tell us what your experience was like and why it's such a great thing.
Yeah, I've been through many of the camps. It's a very great experience. Last year I went to the Combine, and it was great. I had a lot of fun out there.
And tell us some of the things. I know you're a quarterback. What were some of the skills that you demonstrated, some of the combine skill sets you think that really set you apart from a lot of other people?
Just my throwing. I'm a very great thrower and accuracy, so yeah.
All right, see, there you go. And Coach, tell us, you've had so many guys come through. NFL players. Now, can you give us some of the people that have actually, from kids to the NFL, that you've worked with?
So back in 03, I coached with DeMarco Murray.
Oh, DeMarco Murray.
At Bishop Gorman. And then a lot of them in between, like Corey White, went to a lot of college kids.
Yeah, wide receiver.
No, running back.
Oh, Corey
White. He was
White.
great. And then Jake Broyles went to Idaho. Just a lot of kids I helped get to college.
Yeah.
And then the latest is Darnell Washington.
Yeah, with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Had him
tight
since
end.
he was 13.
Wow, so he was a tight end, now with the Steelers, went to Georgia. So these are guys going to elite programs. And I'm sure over these 17 years, you've really seen how not only youth athletics has changed, but football has changed so much in the way that, the game is being called, the impact of wide receivers rather than running backs. When DeMarco Murray was in the league with the Cowboys and the Eagles, I mean, this was a guy where running backs were a premium. Now, running backs is not such a hot position. What has stayed the same and what has changed the most over these 17 years from your gaze as a coach?
I don't know. This upcoming season is going to be very interesting. As you see what special teams is doing.
Yeah.
It's going to be very different. And, of course, they're trying to preserve the game, and I totally get it. A lot of parents come up to me and ask me, Coach, when do you think I should get my son into full contact football?
Yeah.
And he's a little 5-year-old. I said, I really believe that you should probably wait till maybe the 8th grade.
Really?
To really get a lot of flag, get a lot of skill set going.
So
and,
really flag up until 8th grade.
I do. Yeah, the head banging at that age, we all did it.
Yeah.
And back then it was the way it was. But I really think you don't need to be headbanging on those real young, tender ages.
Joe, when did you start headbanging? And I don't mean concerts.
5 years old.
5 years old is when you started. And how about you? Are you a specialist now? Do you play any other position, or are you only focused on quarterback and that's all you do?
I'm only focused on quarterback. No other
Really?
position
How
yet.
early should kids be specializing at one unique position? Because we've seen a lot of guys. I mean, Cooper DeJean, who's now on my beloved Philadelphia Eagles, he's a secondary guy, but he was playing all over up until he got to Iowa. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting to specialize at such a young age.
But when it comes to a skill set type of athlete, then, yeah, you got a couple ways you can go. They could easily become a receiver or a DB or a quarterback, depending on their arm capabilities. Linemen are more chunkier kid, then pretty obvious that D line, maybe if he slims up in time, he can become a D end, something like that, or a tight end. But for the most part, you want them to play different positions because they have to like what they play, and then you train them in different positions, and you never know. They could be the most phenomenal receiver, and maybe not such a great defensive player.
Yeah, all right.
But it's good to get around a little bit, but the combine is going to just test these young men and let them know where they're at and where they need to be, depending on their year, what school they're in. 8th grade, freshmen, sophomores.
All right, so let's talk about how people can sign up for this, baby, and all the stuff that's going down at the Combine. When is this going on? Where is it at, and how people can sign up?
Okay, well, they can go to AAYFL, All-American Youth Football League.net, and the flyer there, and they can register. Click on there, and it'll lead you right to the page where you can register your sons or daughters. This is going to be a pretty cool year because we're getting female flag football players.
Wow. Okay, so we got a lot of great stuff going on.
High school girls on flag football is huge.
Okay, so this is Saturday, June 22nd. Make sure you guys check this out. One of the greatest guys in the community, Coach James Silvas, and the future star. I'm not talking Joe Montana. I'm talking Joe Montano. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mike.
We'll see you after a quick break. All right, well, Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver with the Minnesota Vikings, he is officially breaking the bank. Yes, he just signed a $140 million deal with the Vikings to stay in Minnesota. He's making about $35 million a year now. It's the highest contract ever for a non-quarterback in the league, James. We asked everybody at home if he was worth that boatload of money. What are people saying?
So this is from David Bell on Facebook. He says, worth more than C-Mac? I'm not a 49ers fan, but I seriously don't think he's more valuable than the star RB.
I mean, yeah, it's simple. Wide receivers are worth more in today's NFL than running backs, so nothing to really talk about there. Next one.
Bingo. Rob Hogginson on Facebook. They paid market value. All NFL players are overpaid, but as a Vikings fan, not upset about this. He's the closest thing to Randy Moss with the potential to be better, which is a scary thought.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Moss is high praise, but let's see if he continues, especially with the iffy quarterback situation. All right, and last one, James.
Jake Lucky Murrieta on Facebook. Probably. He's excellent, but not quite sure if I'd put him in the elite status category yet. What are you waiting for, though?
I mean, elite, like you and I think elite would be like being the top at your position, top 1, 2, right, at your position. He's certainly elite, future Hall of Famer if he stays on track. What's your thoughts on this whole thing, James?
I want to go back to this whole McCaffrey comment.
Really?
Yeah, where you don't think that a wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the game, is more valuable than the best running back in the game. I love Christian McCaffrey, and they use him far more than the traditional running back in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But from the standpoint of, he is a running back. History will tell you, you don't pay running backs at all. You don't need to. Look at these last average annual salaries for the last Super Bowl winners. You got last year Isaiah Pacheco, who was making $870K. The year before that, Isaiah Pacheco again, $870K. Cam Akers, $890K. Leonard Fournette, $2 million. Damian Williams, $1.05 million. I could go down the rest of this list, but nobody gets higher than $2 million. The leading rusher on the last Super Bowl team making more than $2 million, he wasn't even a running back. It was Percy Harvin.
Okay.
So running backs are not more valuable than wide receivers. I don't care who it is.
C-Mac's not truly just a running back. I would still rather have in that offense with Kyle Shanahan. I think if somebody said, would you rather have Debo or, Brandon Ayuk or Christian McCaffrey, who's more, critical to the success of that team, it's Christian McCaffrey. So running back to running back, it's a little different with him, but certainly wide receivers are a premium in today's NFL. The only thing that I think about James is, as an Eagles fan, he was drafted 22nd overall in that draft. Henry Ruggs was the first wide receiver taken off the board, but the Eagles literally took Jalen Reagor at a TCU above Justin Jefferson. It still hurts. Guys, coming up after a short break, we got more SOS. Stick around. And all right, thanks so much for joining us on Sound Off Sports. Great responses today. Can't wait to hear what you have to say for next week's show. We'll see you next time.